Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Pensacola. My name is Kate Wolverton. I've been a member here for over 20 years, and it's so nice to see you all this beautiful morning. Please make sure to silence your electronic devices. We want to take a few moments to welcome any guests that are with us today. We are glad you're here. If you would like to receive communication about us, please complete a guest card out on the credenza as you enter the door over by the wall over here. If you have any joys and concerns that you'd like to have shared with the community, please put it in the collection basket when it comes around. We don't have an order of service, but you'll be able to follow along what's happening up there. That's all I have for that. So as far as announcements goes, we have one announcement. On Sunday, March 13th at 11:15, following the service, we would like each of you who signed up to be in the JUST network at a house meeting to attend the network meeting. Now, I don't know if people are familiar, but JUST stands for Justice United, Penny, help me?
Seeking Transformation.
Seeking Transformation. So on March 13th, directly after the service, there will be a meeting here at church, and we will be talking about the updates from the research teams for the two topics that are being researched, the affordable housing and civil citations for juveniles and civil citations for adults. We will also be sure that each UUCP member is invited to the pep rally and the Nehemiah Assembly action and encouraged to invite 8 people to this event so that we can really have a good showing and make a difference in the community. And right now I'd like to invite Laurie Winterberg up. She has a special message for us.
Thanks, Kate. Imagine, if you will, our reliably successful yard sale and our surprisingly successful online auction, and they had a bouncing baby. That baby would be the inaugural Buy It Now sale, which begins on March 13th. That'll be next Sunday. It will be like an online store. It will be open 24/7, and it will the store will be open for 2 Sundays. Store closes on March the 25th. The website where you can view the catalog now can be found on the little cards that are taped to the front of the chairs. The website starts with the word Octria. That's the platform, the website that's used. So that address will be publicized. If you lose that card or forget it, it'll be publicized in other ways as well. So it's ready for viewing now, but you'll have to wait until the countdown clock reaches 0 to begin buying. For those of you who registered to shop and buy at the last time we had an online auction, you are already registered for the sale, but you may need some help recovering your password. Or if you didn't register before, if you need help registering the first time, you can do that. But you don't need to be registered to look. You can browse all you want without registering. Later today, I'm going to send out by email to your email address a reminder with your access information. So that's scheduled for this afternoon. But if you want help looking at the website or registering or anything, Linda Cobb is supposed to be here today. Maybe she'll be arriving later, or I will stay a little bit later with our handy little electronic devices and we'll lend a hand if you need it. There'll be a couple of announced pickup days for those people who shop and buy their treasures. You can come by the church and pick your things up. You can pay with credit card or by check. Feel free to share the address to trusted friends, neighbors, your kids, people that you know would love a bargain. Things are priced really low to move and to sell. Nothing's going to be shipped. It's local pickup only. There's a hefty number of items that are in their original packaging, haven't been opened, gently used, collector's items, and they are all priced to move, so get in quick. And there might be some late donations that come in, so even though you may have shopped, as I intend to, as soon as that countdown clock goes to 0, I'm going to be coming back and looking because there'll be some more things that'll pop up. So all of the proceeds from this sale will go towards this year's operating budget. If it's determined that this is a kind of a successful way to have some fundraising done that takes advantage of technology, we might repeat it with some other more thematic themes like services and baked goods and cookies and things like that. Thanks a bunch.
This is From a Distance, written by Jude Gold and sung by Bette Midler.
Eagle
Thanks, Laura. Our chalice lighting today is called A Spark of Hope by Melanie Davis. If ever there were a time for a candle in the darkness, this would be it. Using a spark of hope, kindle the flame of love, ignite the light of peace, and feed the flame of justice. Please join me to recite our church's covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We have a short story for Time for All Ages today. It's called The Water Bearer. A water bearer in China had 2 large pots. Each one hung over a pole, and he carried it across his shoulders. One of the pots had a crack in it, while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water. At the end of the long walk from the stream to the house, the cracked pot only delivered half of a pot. For a few years, this went on daily, and the bearer was delivering only 1.5 pots of water to his home every day. And of course, the perfect pot was very proud of its accomplishment, perfect for which it was made. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfections and miserable that it was able to accomplish only half of what it had been made for. After 2 years of what it perceived to be a bitter failure, it spoke to the water bearer one day by the stream. I am ashamed of myself, and because of my crack in my side, I can only bring home half of a pot of water. The bearer said to the pot, "Did you notice that there were flowers only on one side of the path, but not the other side? That's because I have always known about your flaw, and I planted seeds on the side of the path, and every day while we walk back, you've watered them. And for 2 years, I have been able to pick beautiful flowers to decorate the table, and without you being just the way you are, there would not be this beauty and grace in our house." So, the moral of this story is each of us has our own unique flaws. We are all cracked pots. But it is the cracks and the flaws we each have that make our lives together so very interesting and rewarding. You've just got to take each person for what and who they are and look for the good of them, including ourselves. And now it's time to sing the kids out to their classes. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere
Come into this circle of community. Come into this sacred space. Be not tentative, bring your whole self. Bring the joy that makes your heart sing. Bring your kindness and your compassion. Bring also your sorrows and your pain. Bring your brokenness and your disappointments. Spirit of love and mystery, help us to recognize the spark of the divine that resides in each of us. May we know the joy of wholeness, and may we know the joy of being together again. Would you join me in standing if possible? If not, have a seat while we sing in Building a New Way.
Freely have we received the gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. Gladly we bring to our church and its wide concerns a portion of this bounty. Please make sure when the basket's being passed around, if you have any joys and concerns, to write them on the paper in your little folder. If you don't have a folder and you have a joy and concern, raise your hand and somebody can bring it to you.
Okay, we have several up here today. Awesome. We've been contacted by a member of First UU Church in Orlando regarding our chalice quilt. And they'll be celebrating their 110th anniversary, and they like to discuss the quilt and how our beautiful piece of art that's covered by the screen came about, and how it's been literally a touch to our walls. Let's see, we have another Joy. Erin Lavoie starting a new job on Tuesday. Yay! Congratulations! And Jack and Kate got to visit with granddaughter Brinley Shannon Wolverton. She is 1 month old and the daughter of their eldest, Nathan. She's really cute. She'll show you lots of pictures. We have from Laura Keith King, thoughts for my brother who had falling out with his daughter, and both of them are very sad, and connection is needed. Marcy, concerns for her cousin Mallory, who's in the hospital for the 2nd time this month. From Cynthia, sorrow today. My heart hurts for all the lives lost in the Ukraine. Yeah. And there is a joy for Bill. Bullion, I'm sorry, I can't read this very well. Thank you for the contributions that you and your family have done for this congregation. So thank you. We're always in need of wonderful hands to make lighter work. So thank you, Bill. I won't make you like stand up or anything, but thank you. And of course, we will light a candle for the people of Russia, the people of the Ukraine, and one more for all of the joys and sorrows that are in our hearts but unspoken on our tongues. Thank you, Kate. I need to make my mess go away here real quick so I can see. So, I'll admit something to y'all. I do not know a whole lot about gardening. Now, while the women of my family seem to create an entire tree from a single leaf, and my paternal grandfather was a farmer, and some of my great uncles were still farming and raising cattle up till a few years ago, those green thumbs did not land on these hands. I used to get inspired about once a year and go out and make my yard look beautiful. And then I'd stand back at the work I had done and go, yeah, oh no, I have to weed this. And 3 weeks later, I was looking for a neighborhood youth who wanted to make some money pulling weeds. It was the best of intentions though, right? And I'm a believer that it takes many hands to do the tending of our gardens, both the metaphysical and the literal ones. What I am good at though is a different kind of gardening. The kind that starts with sowing of the tiniest seeds. These seeds I have named love, hope, justice, courage, and joy. And these go with me everywhere. Many years ago, when I was in deep discernment about my ministry's path, I was asked something akin to, what do you want to be when you grow up? To which I replied, I want to be Johnny Appleseed. And I know that might sound like a flippant response, but it was deeply felt in my heart. And it was true to my nature, and a model I thought to be easy and hard simultaneously, kind of like Zen. I say easy because it's easy to give away seeds of love and joy. That feels good, and it's usually welcomed all along my ministry's path. Seeds of hope, those get a bit more difficult as looking around our state, our country, and indeed the world. It seems like hope is a fool's errand on some days. Even our congregations become hopeless with COVID lockdowns, economic disparities, justice inequities, political posturing, and the list can go on and on. But we then step into deeper territory with seeds that can be challenging to sow, especially if there's an absence of hope. The seeds named courage and justice go together as their partners. Courage is always needed to help create the justice that is so desperately needed in our times. I said it was hard because even on the days that I feel a lack of inspiration, I still have to muster the ability to spread those seeds far and wide. After all, it is Johnny Appleseed's job. All of these metaphoric seeds I carry in my eco-friendly, repurposed burlap pouch that I call faith. And faith is what helps me to sustain on those low energy days. Spreading seeds, gardening, and the coming spring conjure memories of a meditation by David Snaden that I'd like to share with you. So at this time, I'd like you to settle into your seats. Feel the love of the community around you. Maybe take a cleansing breath and rest your eyes if you would like. And open your senses as we hear a meditation on planting. Earth, clay from which we are made and to which we will return. Soil, rich, aromatic, crumbling in my fingers, dark under my nails. This cleansing dirt, the natural filter for aquifers, holds life. Once weathered rock and dissolved mineral now join with decaying mineral to feed hungry fungus and bacteria. You are living, made of living organisms and giving us life. Forgive us for treating you, well, like dirt. Overlooked as we walk over you without a second look. Littered with our discarded cartons and plastic bags. Forgive us our seeping toxins from clever industrial innovations. Forgive us and accept these seeds. Seeds. Promise of future life, may you germinate and live fully into your potential. Let your roots feel and follow the earth's gravity down, and let your green shoots break through the surface and feel the light. Future plant, thank you. Thank you for converting sunlight into chemical energy that allows life to flourish. Thank you literally for the food that we eat. Thank you, and accept this water. Water, fundamental compound. We are only but a part of your journey. Little puddles making mud, clouds above, glaciers melting, a springtime shower, the unimaginable expanse of our ocean's depths, the vapor in our dying breath. You are in all of us, in every cell of our being. Water, continue to flow and allow life to grow. Continue to quench our thirst, continuing your cycle through the earth. Transpiration and evaporation, condensation and precipitation continue to filter and trickle into our streams, finally reaching the sea, only to continue your journey again into the air. Air, solution of gases, invisible yet felt, heard, and held. We feel you as the air pressures change and the leaves on the trees dance in your wind. We hold you in anticipation. You are our life's breath, flowing in and out of us all. Oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. Inhale and exhale, flowing back and forth between plant and person, algae and animal. We hear you, air. You are the conveyance for our encouraging words and uplifting music as you vibrate your waves. You're surrounding us and expansive throughout our atmosphere, beyond our stratosphere, towards the sun. Sun, little yellow star, great source of life's energy, bringer of light and warmth, harbinger of the new day as we see you again after another rotation on our axis. Boiling, radiant plasma, your solar rays give us hope. Hope for a new tomorrow. Hope for warmth after a long winter. Hope for light when the future seems so dark it's hard to see. Brilliant, giant sun, shine down on our little earth. Now slowly take a nice breath in, come back to the room, and thank you. Now we know that both the dark and the light are valuable and necessary for growth. The dark is yin to the yang of light. Both are needed to make the picture whole. And that's what I feel is missing from that beautiful meditation that I just shared with you. The dark rest that seeds need may be implied by the use of the term earth, but I feel it's essential on its own. I believe it's this way for human beings as well. We need the rejuvenation and opportunities that the dark can bring. While winter is the most reverent season for many faiths and necessary for nature to reset herself, it's also the hardest time of the year for many who are alone, for those who suffer from seasonal affective disorder or depression. In the past 2 years, these conditions have been exacerbated by COVID. Perhaps some of the winter blues we suffer from are due to society not providing us enough time, space, and normalcy to explore the sadness and emotions that the gray season can bring forth. Maybe we should take some time to honor the dark before summoning the light to return. Might we have a greater appreciation for both the darkness and the light if we honor both equally? Intentionally bringing the dark into our meditations of gratitude might make the stars shine just a little more, or give us a greater admiration for the rest that we're able to undertake in the darkness. And I mean, if animals can hibernate for the winter, can't we meditate for part of the winter? And our wheel of the year is turning and transitioning from the watery sign of Pisces to the fiery Aries. And it's in times like these that I ponder transitions in the human social cycle as well. So what do you think? Are we in a dreary season of despair or one of light and happiness? I think the answer is yes, both. Not only are we contending with the end of the winter blues and being bundled up on our couches watching way too much TV, we're also dealing with the last 2 years of constant global news, and to our greater detriment, 24/7 news cycles that preach their own style of doom and gloom. Now, while it's no fault of the television itself, of course, the messages we sometimes receive from it can cause the looming darkness to feel overwhelming, makes us feel fearful and powerless, making the return of the light feel nearly impossible. And that same fear-inspiring message is repeated about every 28 minutes on cable news networks. So go ahead, turn on your nightly news and tell me that your heart doesn't break while your blood pressure rises. And almost daily, we hear of another young black person's life being extinguished by someone with power and a position of authority. The likes of George Floyd, 46, Breonna Taylor, 26, Philando Castile, 32, Freddie Gray, 25, Dante Wright, 20, and 12-year-old Tamir Rice did not deserve to die. Nor do their memories deserve to be clouded by inaccurate media coverage and a faulty legal system. My heart truly goes out to those families and the loved ones that are unable to grieve properly for the injustices that they have been made to suffer. And up next on the 5 o'clock news, it's on to our elected leaders who behave so badly, I'm surprised that Congress isn't televised instead of daytime soap operas. Some of those who we have charged to govern our natural resources outright deny the science of climate change while cashing their big oil lobby checks. Our leaders can send our family members off to fight and die, but those same leaders cannot manage to provide for our loved ones' mental health or job security when they get home. The current state of affairs just here in Florida is astounding. No state or its inhabitants should ever be subjected to a "don't say gay" bill or a ban on any true U.S. history that might make someone, and I quote, uncomfortable or to feel shame, end quote. And this, of course, is after those who hold the power have redrawn our districts and restricted voting rights for those without any power or the finances to fight back. And international news. The humanitarian crisis in the Middle East rages on while the world has turned its gaze to other pressing issues. While our leaders are making disparaging remarks or implementing sanctions against Russia for their invasion of another sovereign nation, we once again are potentially under the threat of nuclear war from a man who eats, sleeps, and sweats KGB agent for Mother Russia. It's mind-boggling to think how anyone in the USA could support this dangerous man who would like to reunite the USSR and start another Cold War. But if you tune into some of our so-called news channels here in the States, you would find them doing just that. These are but a few of the dark issues today blaring at us from the electronic box on the wall, and I'm sure you can conjure dozens more without thought process at all. And yet we have the youth of this nation and many around the globe leading the way in equitable human rights and race relations, eradicating hunger and disease, marriage equality, environmental cleanup, and ending war as we have known it. Right at this moment, right now, there are hundreds of Polish citizens taking in and giving rides to Ukrainians who have nowhere else to go and have found themselves to be refugees overnight. This is the light that I speak of. It's the inextinguishable light of the human spirit, the light of compassion, worth, and dignity that lives within us all. This is the returning light that I await. I await the return of the light to help the seeds of justice and peace that have been sown break through the slumbering soil and spill forth beauty and fragrance of a humanity come to its senses. I await the returning light so that we may rekindle our inner embers, our own core spark. And I pray that we will. There's a quote by musician Leonard Cohen that says, "There's a crack in everything. It's how the light gets in." So maybe the seeds of peace and justice will receive light from a multitude of cracks, take root and explode from the dormant soil to produce the long-needed equality our human family is so desperately in need of. So take comfort, my friends, Unitarian Universalists all over the country are on the move, doing what they know how to do and venturing into the unknown to counter all these bombarding messages of humanity going to hell in a handbasket. They are providing much-needed pastoral support for members and new friends alike who are suffering with the atrocities of the day. We are establishing partnerships to support and empower those marginalized voices being trod upon. Many are answering the call to gather and protest when needed. Our association is putting its finances where our values are and stepping up on the national stage in matters of immigration, reproductive rights, and climate change, just to name a few. And you are reaching out to your disenfranchised neighbors and reminding them that they are not alone and that they do not have to do the work of justice making by themselves. And I am intentionally choosing to bless this broken world. So what more can we do? What are we willing to risk outside of our privileged existences to instigate change? Right here in Northwest Florida, how can we spread some of our light to help light the paths for others? When we kindle a spark inside and then we join all of these individual flames together, I believe we can transform those all into a raging fire and light the way of an era of equality and compassion. Even when we're walking through the valley of shadows and the sun is MIA, we should remember that shadows are only cast when there is a light source present. I believe the light does more than illumine our pathways or help us make beautiful art. Light preaches a sermon of sorts, and it might be one that we need to hear in times such as these. The coming light of the new season reminds us that warmth and regrowth are near. It reminds us that the nature of the light is here inside of us, working through us. One of the greatest joys we can achieve as Unitarian Universalists, or indeed as human beings, is helping one another to see and to feel the light within ourselves. Letting our light shine outwardly in all of its radiance will secretly give all who come in contact with it permission to do the same, prompting us to accept that we can be the solution, that we can be the light working within the darkness. We all possess the power to let our light cut through the darkest of days, to not fear the dark, but to shine our light for others so that they may find their way in the darkness too. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross tells us that people are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun is out. But when the darkness sets in, their true beauty is revealed only if there is a light from within. I really like that imagery. How about y'all? What does your window reveal in the dark? So no matter what the reporters yell at each other, no matter how badly our elected officials lead, no matter what the test results or bank statements say, and no matter how full your calendar is, I believe there is a light at the end of your tunnel. We are but only in the middle of our stories, and it may seem bleak at the moment, but I am a believer in the returning light that restores balance in the end. It's written in the book of Isaiah that the Lord will be your everlasting light. I say we can use this scripture remembering that we are all pieces of the divine. Or maybe it's just easier for us UUs to digest if I phrase it like this. Our own divinity is our everlasting light. From the dark womb of the winter, the light is reborn. May your energies, love, hope, and sense of justice all receive this healing rebirth. It will take many hands to do the work of unearthing and discovering our gardens. Spreading hope and spiritual nourishment is tiring work, and I am grateful to have partners such as you, my lovely and loved community church here in Pensacola. And maybe, just maybe, one day we'll meet, seed satchel across our shoulders, spreading the values of love, hope, justice, courage, and joy in a place that we call the beloved community. But first, we must build a new way to that land. And in all of this, and the great spark of the divine that all of you have, I believe. Namaste.
We'll now be singing This Little Light of Mine in your 118 in your hymnal.
No matter how weak or how frightened we may feel, we each have gifts that can make a difference in the world. In this coming week, may you do at least one thing to support the broken, to welcome the stranger, to celebrate what is worthy, to do the work of justice and love. Be strong, be connected. Each day act so that you may be a little more whole. This service has ended. Now our service to the world begins. May you go in peace, warmed by the fires of commitment and surrounded by love.